Back to PotTea Mouth Moms. My name is Veronica. If we haven't met before, if we have, welcome back to the shit show you know is my life. So earlier today I had made a post about gut dysbiosis. So I'm doing this shit because apparently this is what gets people to watch videos. Meanwhile, simultaneously, being useful to myself. So I had cut my hair earlier. So I'm really excited because my hair was super dry. So backstory on why I'm doing this. So gut dysbiosis. I'm super interested in this because for the past 10 years, I've been dealing with intermittent gut issues that was associated with allegedly scleroderma. I have been treated at 2 of the East Coast predominant scleroderma centers. One recently just had a interview, I would say, with the doctor. And she was brilliant and amazing, great personality. Both of the doctors, brilliant women. Shout out to them, but still not getting answers and not really any help on guidance on what is going on. So doing research. So I'm your guinea pig. So welcome to this. So I am cutting my hair because my hair has been very, very brittle. I do dye it. I had dyed it. I haven't dyed it in quite a while. It's been growing out. You can see the roots are long, but we were recently in Florida and I could not actually get out of the shower without putting any kind of oil in it. It was super dry. I ripped out probably at least a good chunk of hair this weekend because it was just nuts. So I ended up cutting it to the best of my ability, and I'm just gonna shave the sides. Like I said, because people apparently love this shit, but we're also gonna, be purposeful in this. So what I'm going to talk about is a dysfunction of the microbiome of your gut. So in all of the testing, the multiple thousands of dollars worth of testing that I've had over the past few years, nobody's ever talked about this specifically, about hey, what are you doing specifically with your diet? Be looking at somebody who can educate you more, or I should be able to educate you more. None of these doctors have educated me anything about the histology inside your gut, all of the trillions of fungi and bacteria and the viruses that our immune system is 70% of our gut is created in that. Tell me that. Talk to people. Tell them normally, hey, what you're eating is everything right here. People will understand. So hair. So cutting off hair, gut dysbiosis. So what do we do about having a dysfunctional gut? How does that start? So I ended up getting into the series of gut dysbiosis because I actually was having a conversation with Ian, what is gluten? You know how many people I have conversations with, especially at work, just having conversations with people. 90% of my job is educating the general population about just the simplest shit. And the majority, obviously, I do homeopathic treatment now. I do recommend a lot of people to have discussions with homeopathic practitioners because I've met a lot of people that have gotten to a point of no return, absolute no return. They feel so discouraged and disgruntled. Women that are my age, actually younger, some a few years older, some decades older, that are crippled and from disorders that are told that they're autoimmune disorders, and they have stomach issues and hormone imbalances and nobody can give them answers. Nobody can give them any kind of guidance. And I have been a guinea pig, and I've seen people who are guinea pigs, and it is insanity that we continue to let this be life. So I digress. So I'm really going down the deep dark rabbit hole of gut disorders and why things are things. The gut response with the gluten, which causes gluten allergies, is broken down to 2 different proteins that are found in these different types of gluten, which would be your wheats, barley, rye, and even some of the really ancient grains. The multi-grain that are the ancient grains. And they all have these two proteins, and one is it's called gliadins. It is GLIADINS. That is the one that's going to give the dough like extendability. It's going to give it, the hardiness that you're going to need for it to help rise. And then you have glutenins. So the glutenins are what give it that elasticity. So in people with gut disorders like celiac disease and IBS, inflammatory bowel syndrome, all those inflammatory gut responses are associated with different triggers. And why does food cause those triggers? And it was just really interesting to me because I'm wondering, why do certain foods, like even glutens, if you, again, guinea pig, have tried different types of wheats and grains to see how my response was, because I'm really interested in still maintaining weight. I would love to just be healthy. How can I be the healthiest? And what is the healthiest way to do it without really killing myself in the pocket? It's hard. It really is. You can't trust what you eat. So it doesn't necessarily have to do with GMOs and stuff like that. I'm not going that deep with this, but it goes down to the fact that you have these two proteins, and why does the one protein versus the other cause a reaction? And it really has to do with your gut microbiology. So because your gut is associated with, again, 70% of your immune response, you have something that is going to cause a reaction, and the gliadins do that. They are literally causing your T cells to attack itself. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, if I'm misspeaking in any way, or please educate me further in this as well. I'm not an expert. I'm just an RN who has had gut issues for years and is really interested in this, and because nobody ever talked to me about this, and it's interesting. So what can you do to boost your gut response and boost your immune system in your gut? Again, I like to participate in the herbalage. I know that there are repercussions that directly correlate with, disruption to that microbiome. I understand there's cyclical vomiting. I understand that there's things that, none of those things are associated with the symptoms that I have. Yes, I have abstained from every aspect of inhalation injury multiple times. I have my medical card. I have my medical card for a reason, because I had gotten to the point where, as a nurse, I could no longer trust that, talking to a doctor that didn't want to sell me a $600 a shot for migraines, but I can sign this paper and I will get $500 off, and I have to get it monthly, and my first dose is going to cost me $1,200 because it's a loading dose, but again, I can still sign the paper and I'm getting a discount. Well, where the hell does that other money go? And you're telling me that if it works, then maybe you have this condition, but we're not really sure. Okay, that's a whole nother story. So, gut, immune response. Why have we not talked about this? What can you do? Research. So, I had been pretty much starving to death. Pretty much. I went from 160 pounds of a mix between, muscle. I was a lot of muscle, but I did have some fat on me, which I was perfectly okay with. And, I don't mind being a little curvy. Did I always want to be this skinny? Yes. I never wanted to be unhealthy. Currently on the path of not being unhealthy. So, I have done the gluten-free, lactose-free. I have been intermittent with interjecting all different types of levels of, introduction of the FODMAP system into my diet, and I have trialed things that have worked for extended periods. Currently, sorry, this thing is annoying. Currently, my diet primarily consists of, raw veggies as much as possible. If I cook them, I maintain juice. I eat very, very healthy, but it has to look pretty. It has to be appealing to me, because the food aversion was so strong for so long, because food caused pain. No matter what I ate, no matter what my diet, putting anything in my stomach was causing excruciating pain, and I felt like I was dying. I was pretty sure I was dying. I ended up having a PET scan. I'm a 40-year-old healthy individual that looks healthy that had a PET scan. Tell me why, because you couldn't tell me what was going on, and I was the only person that was advocating for me. And it was hard, but it was a lot because I was struggling because, again, I couldn't put anything in my body that didn't cause me pain. So food aversion it's still a problem for me. I have a very difficult time eating meat. I will eat fish, but I have to be in the mood for it. So my gut problems are very real. Anybody that knows me knows that I am not, this is not necessarily unhealthy. It's not that I look horrible, but it is not healthy for me. And so that's a reconciliation. That is the reason why I'm doing this. So for people who, especially women who have had issues, stick around, like, share, subscribe, please, because this is what this is about. So in addition to the fact that, let's digress to gut dysbiosis, in addition to those reactions that your gut has to, these proteins, like, what can you do to, reduce that inflammation? So, we were on vacation recently, and, one of my big things was I made celery juice. And how did I do that? I literally blended it in the most awful blender whatsoever, pulverized it to, a pulp, and used the coffee filters to strain it, because I'm honestly just desperate for nutrition that is really something that I can tolerate and, I think is the best for me. So I added some ginger to that, a little bit of salt, a little bit of lemon. In that day I felt good, but it was, how can I max it to the best of my ability, pretty much. The food cravings come a lot more when I have been gardening versus when I'm not. So that is one of the primary reasons why I garden. Again, I do understand association between inhalation injuries and what I'm talking about, hypocrisy. Fine with it. Come at me. Please don't. I don't really have the time or energy for it. But so I've been trying to do the best of my ability, but I have found that there are different varieties of glutens that I can eat that don't cause reactions. So I really have to find, stuff from Italy is the best that I have found, but I have to be careful, how much I eat still without triggering a reaction. And it's not even that I have a reaction, it's just that I don't want to potentiate one. I want to be able to enjoy the gluten, and if it's a once in a while thing, I'll do it. It's, why does that make a difference? And I mean, granted, those sensitivities can still be there regardless. You can avoid the gluten. I have found that, making my own gluten-free products has, made a difference, but it's time consuming. So if you're interested, I will be sharing recipes that do have gluten-free products, and, probably vegan, because I'm really, again, just trying to maximize on, like, what I have in my house. What have I, bought that I've stored that I was like, oh, I'm going to use this later. What can I use that I have that's healthy? And I have a lot of healthy stuff in my house that I hadn't realized that I had previously, and just kind of been, like, avoiding it. So come along on this journey, and I will be sharing my stuff. But again, like, share, subscribe, send along. So gut dysbiosis. What can you do? Inflammation. It's diet. It's all about diet, and even if you can't afford organic, you can't afford to eat, super healthy, you're on a strict budget, don't tell me that you're gonna spend however much money on your frosted mocha latte, blah, 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 blah. That's more than a head of lettuce, that's more than something else, but yet you're complaining of being overweight, and you're complaining of gut issues. And even if you're skinny and you think you're healthy, and you still drink those things, and you still enjoy them, even if you're eating sugar free, you're still it's a lot of chemical. So inflammation, it's really, what are you putting in your body? Think about it. And the definition of insanity, how insane do you want to be? Do you want to continue to live in in that cycle of pain, or do you want to get out of it? So green juices, big anti-inflammatory. They're great nutrition. That's what I found. So I actually, after I'm done with this, I'm going to go on Facebook Marketplace, because I am not buying a brand new one, because those ones are expensive. Because the recommendation is actually a double centrifuge juicer. So for those of you that are actually interested in it, juicing, green juice is really good for you. There's tons of recipes out there you can Google. Lots of people that you can follow. I've been following a bunch of different people, or add some additional things to your water. Turmeric, there's anti-inflammatories out there naturally. Sage is a great one. I truly enjoy in the morning. I get up in the morning and my cousin Amy, shout out to you Amy, got me into like the liver cleanse of the water in the morning, and that was just a cup of water and warm, and with a lemon, and I add about 2 to 3 pieces of dried sage. It's organic dried sage that I've hung out to dry out. And again, I'm a weirdo. I don't really care. And now I just think that the general population is just aggravated and pissed off, and ridicule me if you will, but I do support the fact that our food has been tainted and played with, and I'm a product of misuse of food, medications, doctors, people who are supposed to be healthcare givers. If anybody who knows me as a healthcare practitioner knows that I don't go with the norm. I'm always very fighting the norm. So this is where we're at, kids. So this is what it looks like at the end. I've showered, put a little bit of oil in it. Feels good. So need to tighten it up a little bit. But anyway, so I have stuff to do, but I still want to continue this conversation. So we're diving right in it. Welcome to me unpacking some stuff. So my husband has served at his job for a certain amount of years, and he got a gift of service, and it was off one of those, magazine things. So this is a 100% steel pot. It's a whole set from a company. I'm not going to say the brand, but it's great. It's heavy, it's duty, it's 100%. But he didn't know what to get, and there was a very limited choice. I was like, get that, because I want to get rid of everything that has the Teflon coating in it. But anyway, PotTea Mouth Moms, again, got dysbiosis. So I'm going to unpack this, and we're going to talk about that. So gluten. I really want to talk about gluten, like why gluten sensitivity is such a thing, and why the gut is so important in, everything that happens, especially with women, with men too, obviously, because there's been so much hormone and manipulation with food that men have been having issues as well. But not just that, we've all been really unhealthy for a very long time, and people just seem to be getting sicker and sicker. Come at me if you think I'm wrong. But so gut dysbiosis, gluten. I have trialed a bunch of different types of gluten. I do find, like I said before, that the regular Italian flour, the semolina and the baking flours tend to be the best for gluten that I react the best with. I don't have any kind of a specific reaction to those. With regular gluten, American stuff, even organic, whole wheat, doesn't matter. They cause bloating, dissension, severe discomfort, gas. I need to belch or like pass gas, and it doesn't seem to want to come out. Sometimes it gets lodged up underneath my diaphragm, underneath my lung. I'll get gas bubbles. It's very uncomfortable. I mean, this was previously. These are the symptoms that I would deal with on a regular basis. So I avoided gluten heavily for a very long time. I did a lot of gluten-free flour, but lactose as well. That was another one that would stimulate, but it was dependent on how I ate it. A lot of cheese, I was good with, depending on how it was aged, obviously. But these are things that were recommended through different diets that I had researched, for years. I've been researching different diets, trying to tailor, because your body constantly changes, right? And you're constantly, trying new things, and foods are constantly being altered, so you have to really go with the times. For gluten replacement, I do use a non-based, a gluten-free flour. I do try to use others as well. So any recommendations on what people prefer, please send me. Again, nutritional value is huge. To reduce the inflammation in the gut is a huge thing. It is, again, 100% our diet. 70% of our immune system comes from our gut for women. I mean, that is a trigger for autoimmune disorders, highly triggering, and a lot of it has to do with hormones. And if our hormones are constantly out of whack, we are laden with all of these chronic conditions, fatigue, arthritis, joint pain, and it's all associated with that. Why aren't we talking about inflammatory disorders other than your celiac disease, your non-celiac gluten sensitivities, and your inflammatory bowel syndromes? But I've never heard of the term of gut dysbiosis. Why was that never a term? That should have been the first thing that was introduced into a conversation. And again, not that I'm not stupid. I knew that, it all came down to diet and, adding good bacteria, bad bacteria, and balancing that and maximizing that. But really, I was doing so well, and then all of a sudden, I just took this triggering turn to this dive of 40-pound weight loss because of something nobody could tell me what happened. Nothing was helping it. I had so many studies, so much money spent, so much time spent with doctors in pain. And the people that know me can tell you. I've been desperate for information, but not knowing how to go about it. So this is for me to tell you to stick around, because I'm going to continue to try to advocate and teach, and I hope to have people here to have conversations about these things, because as I find more information, I'm hoping that people take it seriously. It's a very serious thing, and we're not getting better, and people are just getting sicker, and we're here to help and to heal. And, as a nurse, I hope to give that. So, anyway, so avoid gluten if you can, if you can't tolerate it, obviously. So what do you do for you that helps reduce your symptoms in your belly, and how do you maximize on your diet? Please share with me. I would love to know. Love taking recipes. And what do you do to maximize on your gluten-free? If you're going to use flour, how do you use that, with breads and things that, for kids, it's trying to not just do it well for me, but for, moms that have kids that are active, that need a very well-balanced diet, because they're going through hormone changes and the hormones affect them as well. And how do you be healthy? So when you have these two triggering proteins in gluten, where do you go from there? So the inflammation process, I found, is really helped by avoiding those things if you can. But if you can introduce more herbs and greens, again, if you're willing to spend money on things that aren't going to make you feel any better, why wouldn't you spend it on things that might make you feel better? And find what works that makes it tasty for you. Because, yeah, I get it. The good shit tastes great. Not. It's hard to make it tasty. All the bad shit tastes delicious and is awful for you. I get it. So you have these proteins. We have to make sure that we keep them limited. How do we help our gut heal itself to be able to prevent any further inflammation? So we're looking at greens. And again, inhalation injuries, I try to minimize the amount of exposure that I'm giving to my gut, but I'm still going to participate, because I will tell you, I make some banging meals when I'm elevated, and I hope that you guys enjoy them. So I'm going to wrap this up tonight, and please stick around. I know that it might have been not a lot of information, but information, and do some research on gut dysbiosis. It's an inflammatory gut disorder, and I have found more information, unfortunately, on ChatGPT with resources than I have with any other search engine, and they were reliable scientific documents that I found. So please like, share, subscribe.